Hello, I'm Charles. I'm a third year history student and I'm running for QMU VP board.
Hi Charles. So the first point in your manifesto was to introduce additional extended tech training for board members.
Yeah.
Could you just go on a little bit about what would be the point of doing this? Is this something currently holding QM back, do you think?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily it's holding the QM back, but it's definitely not helping it. It's one of those little extra things which it takes very little time to do on top of the additional training that we've set for board anyway. But it just means that when we run, especially internal events like our quizzes and things, all of the tech can be dealt with in-house by the people who are running the event, rather than having to have extra people running about. It just makes our events run smoother, and it means that it's a better experience for everyone, because hosts of quizzes aren't stressed because they don't know how to use the tech, and it just makes everything run a bit quicker. It also helps because obviously the QMU has a dedicated tech team, and they're more suited to doing kind of the bigger events, and so for them to have to sort out an individual to go and do like taking down a microphone, it wastes time for everyone.
Okay, so it would be making events run more efficiently and stuff. Okay. You also mentioned in your manifesto that you weren't interested in bells, whistles and lots of shiny new initiatives.
Yeah.
But is that not, some would say that that's exactly what the QMU is in dire need of right now, is radical changes.
Radical changes are not shiny bells and whistles.
Right.
I think there's a common misconception that doing something new is definitely like the best thing that can happen. Yes, the QMU does need changes, but the changes it needs are quite possibly a lot smaller than people anticipate, and they don't necessarily involve launching a brand new club night or inventing loads of new events. It's about making what we have run and then expanding on that, because you can't build on a foundation of sand, and unless we get sort of what we have now sorted, everything else you build on top of it is just going to fall down.
Okay, can you give us a few examples of what you would think of maybe from your own perspective?
Honestly, for me, I feel like the biggest thing, as I detailed in my manifesto, is we have people who are on board, and when they leave board, their engagement with the building drops significantly. Personally, I don't know why that is, and as I detailed in my manifesto, that's something I'd like to try and find out, because we are a great group of people and we offer lots of amazing things, but we don't portray ourselves necessarily as this huge welcoming place where everyone needs to. It's brilliant. We have such good levels of engagement with the people who are in the building, and it's about making sure that new people who come into the building feel that and engage in the opportunities like board, but then continue coming back afterwards, because there's a great propensity for people to be on board and then leave and just never come back.
Okay, but you mentioned in your manifesto on that point about discounts for ex-board members on food, drinks and events.
Yeah.
Some might see that as a waste of potential income for people who could be paying into the uni.
They aren't solid ideas, as I said. They are possible ideas that I would look into. That was mostly so that I could say these are the kind of things I'm looking along, but as I also said in my manifesto, most of it's going to be based on talking to ex-board members and seeing what it is that they want, because it might just be that they want somewhere to sit and do work, like that specifically kind of they don't have to fight other people for it and they don't have to compete with classes. They want somewhere that they can come and chill in the building. It might be something as simple as that, but obviously I don't think we should kind of not look at discounts, because if you discount one person and they bring 10 people with them, that's 10 people who have come in because of one individual who's discounted. That's a huge increase in profit.
Would you maybe be looking at trying to stem the classes being taught in the QM and things like that?
No, I think definitely having classes taught in the QM, it's good for everyone because it gets people into the building and it helps people as well, because obviously the uni's undergoing lots of work, so we don't want to push classes out of anything. That's a stupid idea.
Okay. You mentioned that you want to keep the current election initiatives in place as well, but we just looked at the numbers there, and the positions available at this election, of them only about 25% are contested. Do you not think that needs to change?
Well, as I detailed later on in my manifesto, keeping the initiatives we have doesn't mean that we're not expanding. I think what we have is good, and the things that we'll put in this year are also good, but maybe they came a bit late because obviously they were launched a week and a half ago. I think it's about, is most of my manifesto, building on what we have and expanding it more, but it's about wider interaction, because Obviously, if you're only PRing an election, someone who's never been in the building before isn't necessarily going to go, I'm going to do that. It's about increasing the levels of engagement within the building as a whole, and through that, you get people running for board. I didn't run for board until I'd spent nearly a year in the building in other capacities which weren't as formally organised, and I think that's the whole point of a student union. You enter it to do committees, to go and have lunch there. You get a feel for the building, and then you go, actually, this is something I'd like to be involved in.
Okay. On that, the QM's election advertisements that we put outside the building advertised it as something that would basically amount to CV fodder. What are your thoughts on that?
I think our PR has, obviously we've tried to expand it, and we're trying to essentially signpost what are the options. So some of them are CVs, because obviously there are a lot of people who are interested in doing things which are specifically for their CV.
Yeah.
There are also people who are involved in raising money for charity. We have one specifically for that. And I think it was about making it easier for people to just look at it and instantly get what they could get from it, rather than having an entire list, because if you listed everything that you got from being on board, you'd have a 2-mile long poster and no one would read it.
Yeah, but does it not come across to you as a bit cynical, perhaps, as maybe people would say that shouldn't be what student politics is about?
I think it's, especially in the current job market, I think it would be silly to ignore such a valuable thing for CVs. And I think to even downgrade it would be underselling what we do, because just regardless of personal opinion, we are a society that values things which you can write down on a CV. And if we can offer that, why should we not advertise it?
Okay. You also mentioned about having some sort of handbook potentially when people sign up for membership. Can you tell us a bit about what you think what that handbook would look like and how this would get people more engaged with you?
Well, we have a full handbook which we hand out at Fresh Week anyway, and it's available all year round in the building. But what I'm talking about specifically is a booklet, but far more slimmed down. And it essentially, as soon as you sign up for membership, it tells you times and days of all our committees. It would tell you the benefits you get from being a member, and it would explain how to get involved in the building. And it just means that at a glance, people can go, oh, all these things are on offer to us. Because this year we've been a lot better. We've had our website redone, and so it's a lot easier to find the opportunities we have, but we just need to keep expanding that and make sure as many people as possible know what we offer.
Okay. And just lastly, is there anything that you would want to do differently from your predecessor?
I don't think there's anything I'd want to do differently. As I've said, it's about building on what we have, because there's so many more directions we can go in, and I think it's important to build on what we have. Because what we have is good. We have good people, we have good training, we have good opportunities. We just need to make sure that more people know about them and more people are able to gain access.